I'm here Skyping with the beautiful Shelly Dartez Stevens and the lovely Wesley Stevens. Can you say hi to everyone at Glow Time Radio?
Hello, Glow Time Radio.
Hello, Glow Time Radio. How are you?
Now, we're going to go back in time. I met Wesley and Shelly on a cruise ship to Bermuda. And actually, I met Shelly first because Shelly was upstairs getting breakfast. I have to say it was about 12 o'clock noon. And I said, I can't believe how good your music is. It honestly sounded, ladies and gentlemen, it sounded like I was listening to a big band sound with harmony vocals, and I thought, there's just two of them. Where's the rest? So, let's start with you, Wesley. How did you get into the music business?
There was a group that used to rehearse around the corner from my home and down the street. So it was kind of in the middle of their rehearsal. They used to walk past my house all the time. And they knocked on the door one day and asked my grandmother, hey, who is this singing and playing? We want him to join our group. My grandmother, of course, she's a lady of the church. She said, no way. He's only 12 years old. And it's not going to happen. So I overheard this. And a few days later, I was listening to the rehearsals. I always listen to these guys. I love this sound. And I knocked on the door and I said, well, you're looking for me. And they said, are you the guy? I said, I'm the guy. I said, come on in. And at that time, that was the Monarch.
The Monarch?
Now, the Monarch, which is now the Stylistics.
Wow, Wesley, that's so... So this was before they even became anything.
Actually, we were recording, they were preparing to record their first song. Mm-hmm. And the first song was You're a Big Girl Now.
Were you still playing with them at that time then? You joined them and you're on the road?
I started doing rehearsals with them for live performances. My grandmother wasn't too happy until they came over and had long meetings with her and promised they'd take care of me. And so she kind of came to one show and said, this is okay. And
so you were 14. You were now 14, Wes?
I was, by the time that I actually started performing with the Stylistics, I was 13. And they called me Baby Butch. That was my nickname. I started writing to music at that time. Biggest hit, You Make Me Feel Brand New.
So you wrote that?
Yeah, I wrote that in lead singer.
Oh my goodness.
When I was 14 years old.
You must have felt elated when your song started to be recorded. And that one, I think, You Make Me Feel Brand New, that was nominated for a Grammy?
Yes, that was the nominated song.
In Europe, that was called the Philly Sound.
Yes, the Sound of Philadelphia.
Now, at that time, so you're 14 years old, you're doing schooling while you're on the road. Your grandmother is now hearing, well, that's one of Wesley's songs. Now she's kind of okay with everything.
She wants to be at every show, that's the problem.
So now, you told me when we met last time, you told me that you were classically trained at Juilliard. So now, what songs did you write, Wesley?
We did Our Real Family. If you don't know me by now, Could It Be I'm Falling in Love? That's the Spinners.
So you helped out with the production as well. You were still not old enough for contracts, Wesley, were you?
No, I could not. Again, I just had to get a permission slip signed to the attorney, get a lot of the publishing credits because of my age, and at that time...
Let me just recap this. This is going to sound so funny. So here you are at 14, around 14 years old, having to grandmother to sign a slip for you to have your songs produced and directed and actually have people singing. So at any time she could have said, Wesley, I don't like this song. I'm not signing over this one.
She wanted things to happen for me, anything that could thwart my career.
So then from there, what did you do next? We're going to get to you, Shelly. Don't worry. We're going to get to you. But this is kind of before your time.
From 1969 to about 78, I stayed with the Stylistics, performing and touring and writing and producing and arranging and singing, whatever need be was done.
That's some serious street cred, isn't it, Wes?
Yeah, I met a lot of good people, a lot of not so good people.
It was a lot different back in the day.
Yeah, it was quite different.
Yeah, a lot of things were, Shelly.
At any rate, in 1978, I decided that I wasn't going to re-sign with Stylistics. So I decided to go with the Commodores. We had toured quite a few times with Commodores.
Now, you told me that they were actually family. One of them was family. Tell us about Lionel.
Lionel, his family, 15 cousins. No, he's down the road. We're related. I found that out. Commodores, before they even had a name, they were just performing as a band. There wasn't really a name. When they were approached about doing a recording, we were all very, very shocked. At that time, we had to come up with a name. So we sat in the library, and they had the gigantic library, and we just opened the dictionary, this gigantic dictionary, and they over to Commode.
Well, that would have been a good one, the Commode.
We weren't going for that. We pointed, and the closest thing to that was Commodore.
So that's it? Just as easy as that?
That's how the name came about.
Well, you struggle so hard to come up with a good name for a band. And it doesn't matter these days if you call yourselves Hot Sausage. If your music is good, everyone will be knowing what Hot Sausage is.
The Commodores actually was a very, very good experience because the band of the Commodores was we call self-composed, meaning that each musician writes their own part, sings their own harmonies. So a lot of times we'd sit down and write the song together and come up with the song, and it just can't, it kind of flowed. This is what they don't have anymore.
So Wesley, you're now producing, directing, arranging and writing. Wes and Shelly, the people that are listening to this are not going to believe that I'm sitting here talking with the people that have written the songs and arranged the songs that they've been listening to for the last 20, 30 years. It's incredible. To have made so many people happy, Wes and Shelly, that's a gift, isn't it?
It is a gift.
Now, I've got to explain to everyone that Wesley wears these big hats, and I'm talking about big hats and tinted glasses, and you would think he's either number one mafia or number two. Or number two.
No, not that.
No, but definitely a performer. Now, I'm going to go over to Shelly for a little bit. Shelly, you have a background in Broadway.
Yes, I did some Broadway musicals when I was young, when I had just left college. And I had a girlfriend who was auditioning for a role in this Broadway musical called Sweet Charity. So she asked me to come along with her for moral support. I went with her, and everyone who was auditioning for the show, they were like, okay. When I heard everybody auditioning, I'm thinking, I can do as well as them, but I happened to say it out loud, and someone heard me that happened to be producer of the show, and he turns around to me, he says, well, then why don't you audition then if you think you can do any better? So he says, you don't have to know any songs from the show. Sing whatever you like. So my favorite song at the time was Barbra Streisand, The Way We Were. So I asked the piano player if he knew it, and he did, and I sang it, and I got a leading role in the show, and my girlfriend didn't get anything.
So Shelly, that's the end of that friendship.
That's not the only one. I'll tell you about another later.
He had this entourage with him, you know, in his world of the Stylistics and The Commodores, you know, a lot of crazy people hang on. By the time I met him, he had humbled down a little bit. He had left the Stylistics and The Commodores when he realized he wasn't getting the rights he should have gotten. So he was a little bit more humble, performing by himself, and then I allowed him to talk.
Wesley's making sure that all our listeners know that he really is humble. With the big hat and the big suits and the turquoise embroidery and everything, that's a very humble image, Wes.
But when I met him, he did have the cowboy hat. Yes, he did.
So after Sweet Charity, then what happened, Shelly?
After Sweet Charity, then I did Showboat, Girl, South Pacific. I do miss it. I do miss acting, but I still get to act when I'm singing because sometimes I have to act like I like songs that I'm singing that I really hate, you know, especially if I have...
So then you started out with Twice as Nice, and you've been playing for how long together?
Oh, it's like since 1984, I believe.
Yeah. But you wanted it, but Shelly, you wanted it to be called Shelly and Wesley.
Exactly, yes. Customer said, he came up to us and goes, you guys are really great. I love your music, and you're so nice, too. He said, matter of fact, you're twice as nice. And we're like, oh, that's so sweet. And we're like, I think that name could come in handy one day. Let's just try to use that. So we went out and got these business cards and printed up with Twice as Nice featuring Wesley and Shelly, or Shelly and Wesley. And then we just started traveling.
You stayed in Japan for 10 years?
Yeah, we lived in
10 years in Japan? So, and now, you told me, Wes, that you got a very lovely gift when you were in Japan. What was that gift?
The Ferrari.
Red Ferrari. When we last spoke, I said to you, you know, you've done so much, both of you. And Wesley, I think you told me you've got loads of songs that haven't been recorded yet.
Oh, yeah.
So how about doing another album, you two? I mean, for heaven's sake, you've got so many beautiful songs. We talked a little bit about doing a duets album. You know, you could imagine people like Michael Bublé, and I would love to hear Adele doing some of your songs, but I guess that's a long way away right now. And you're looking to move back to Norwegian Cruise Lines, and you've got record stuff that you want to record. Hell, you're just so busy from moving from one thing to the other. So what song would you like, what would be a song that you would love them to fade you out with on the radio show, Wesley or Shelly?
I guess You Make Me Feel Brand New would be good.
Okay, let's do that. That would be absolutely perfect. So listen, we'll sign off for now, but we'll talk again, and we'll chat on Facebook.
Tony, it's so good talking to you.
And you too. It's so lovely to speak to you both. This was my interview with the wonderful Shelly Dartez Stevens, who was a Broadway superstar for many, many years and in many productions there, and her husband Wesley Stevens. Wesley was one of the founder members of the Stylistics, and Wesley wrote songs for them from age 15, one of which was a Grammy-nominated hit. This is Tony Moore for Glow Time Radio, your US correspondent, checking out.